Hey friends, welcome back. Thanks for coming. We appreciate you here at McClary Company. Today's video, we're going to talk about what makes a deal, how to get her done. Everybody always wants to know how to make deals happen in land development. This is our best way of doing it. Take a look at the video. So what makes a deal? Well, the number one thing that makes a deal is landowner confidence. That's the number one deal. If you have the landowner's confidence, you have everything. You have a huge opportunity ahead of you. I don't care if you don't have money. I don't care. It doesn't matter. At that point, you have land, right? And that's the. So let me dive into that. So what it says here is, how do you build it, right? How do you build landowner confidence? Right philosophy. It's as simple as that. It's the right philosophy. A lot of times when we present to landowners and talk to landowners, we're talking wrong philosophy. We jump in and it goes back to my experience. Again, the universe teaches you so you can apply later. The universe taught me, get out of your own way, Steve. It's not about you, right? Quit thinking about you. Quit basing everything around you. Think of somebody else for once. And as soon as I figured that out and I corrected some of my philosophy, I now all of a sudden found that I had land. I had opportunity presenting itself. And let's talk into what's right philosophy a little bit. I highly recommend this. Why would you silo your life? I have people come to me all the time and say, Steve, it's just business. I said, is it? Does your business go with you when you die? You be the judge. You tell me whether or not it's real business, if it's just business. There's something more going on here. And that value, if you can figure out how to play that throughout every aspect of your life, people feel that. It's something different. And believe me when I say you guys go down the path of feeling, not just logic. So we're going to talk to some of that. So don't silo your life. Don't act one way in one situation and then, decide to gecko it in another aspect of your life. Okay. And how do I make sure that I don't silo life? I ask myself a couple of questions. And these are my mantras. These are mine. Again, I'm going to take they are. Take the nuggets that you get, that you feel are inspired for you, and then junk the rest. But for me, this is how I gauge every conversation. If I die, does this matter? The other one is, how will it matter in 1,000? Right? Because now you're talking legacy. Now you're talking landowners. And if you can ask yourself, how will it matter in 1,000 years? If I died tomorrow, would my performa perform? Would money matter? No, it doesn't. I can't. Shout out to Mountain America. I could not take, my Mountain America account with me and swipe it on the other side and be out, look at my balance. It just doesn't work like that. Okay. So there's a feeling that I'm trying to get to here, and landowners are looking and searching for this feeling. Okay. And one of the things that also impact over dollars, we've kind of talked to that. I think that impact is really the currency for everything here. Approach development as a stewardship, not an ownership. Again, I think the universe throws moments and opportunities and people in front of you so that you can engage them with tools that you've equipped it to serve. Okay. And my job is to not get in the way. It's just a stewardship, not an ownership. I don't know their land. I don't own the opportunity. The universe gave it to me when I woke up in the morning and I was still breathing and my heart was still beating. Okay. So want to make sure that you understand that. And then another mantra of mine is earn business, not get business. Earn business and not get business. When we go to a landowner and we present to them a package idea, negotiation, and we start trying to finagle performance and different things like that, we're trying to get business. We're not trying to earn it. How do we earn business? Well, I mean, if you look at the generations past, maybe they did it different than we do it now for a lot of logistical reasons, but I'm kind of a creature of the past now, having gone through my experience. Okay, that's why we spent so much time talking about my experience. And this is all I'm going to talk about is my experience, because that's all I have. Okay, but earning business looks like this. You go to the landowner and say, hey, what do you need? What are some of the questions? How can I bless and serve you? They ask you questions. I go and start finding solutions. I put together a little packet that explains their property and all the different opportunity and stuff like that they have. And then I go and deliver it to them. I say, let me know if there's anything else I can do. Right. And then, more times than not, they'll come back to me because they felt something different again. And so that's what I've seen on my end and how I got into the industry. So earn business, put more into the landowner's camp than the performer and money. Transparent negotiations, no poker. I don't play poker. I don't try to negotiate the landowner. I just sit down and say, reality is reality. Here's all the numbers. Here's what makes sense. Here's the market, right? And then if somebody is interested in their land, I'm not the in-between. I actually sit down with the landowner. I schedule a time that works for them, and they can sit down in those meetings. And when I'm going to the city, they know about all my meetings and everything. And so I'm really, really transparent that way. Another thing is the legacy value versus added value. And I think that a lot of times we miss the mark here when we're dealing with landowners, because there's a difference between legacy value and added value. Legacy value, what I mean by that is, and how we use it within my business, is it's the accumulated wealth or the accumulated market value of that land that I had nothing to do about. So in other words, most of the time the landowner is like sweated for years to get to the point where he's at or she's at, right? And their kids and their grandparents and stuff like that. So when I walk into the picture, it would be very presumptuous and entitled for me to go and say, oh, let's see how I can whittle my way in on that value. And so I leave the legacy value alone. And then what I say to the landowner is, hey, let me just add value. And whatever added value I bring to the table, we'll leave you the legacy, and then we'll negotiate out on my land, on my added value. So let me be a simple math for you. A lot of times going to landowners, and they like this idea, is I'll say, okay, your current market right now is whatever, 1 million. As soon as I go through entitlements with you, now you're 1 million. Okay. So your legacy value was 1 million. My added value now is 1 million. So your total value is 2 million. The negotiation, right, or the conversation that happens is, well, now I'll make 500,000 of my added value. You make 500,000 of your added value of my added value, plus your 1 million in your legacy value. Now, instead of making just 1 million, now you made 1.5, I made 500,000. Okay. And I did that in 6 months, where the other guy was going to tie you up for 6 months. and they accrue the full million that I have added value. Right. And so my pitch back to them is why, when the same time frame, and if the negotiation goes wrong with the person that's trying to get you under contract, well, they will have all these contingencies that will hold you clad to a situation of just dragging you out, or over that time period, you would have no progress on your land. And so they jump out. Now somebody else has to jump in, and then you're starting all over again. So time lapse and money. So conversationally, that's the difference. You need to really understand legacy value versus added value. And that's been an approach for me. The tie-up. The reason I put a question mark there, and it should say tie-up over here, even though it just says up like the movie. But tie-up, question mark. So many people are so concerned that if they don't tie it up, they're going to get exposed and somebody's going to go around. There's a lot of different reasons behind that. So I'm going to leave it to you guys to make the decision on that. Me personally, I don't tie up. I just go and serve. I just work for them. I just help them out along the way. And my thought has been, I guess because of that experience over here that we talked about, I'm less afraid of it not working out, because and we'll talk to a couple of opportunities where it didn't work out for me, but it did all the more. And so I never feel like I have to worry about my situation, because I'm the one guy that's committed to earning their business and not just getting it. And they see that fairly quickly, and they see my value. And so I have a new level of confidence with the landowner that nobody else has. And that drives the loyalties that I was telling you about. Effort and persistence. Okay. Once you have the landowner confidence, part of that is effort, right? And persistence, but you have to be able to demonstrate to them that you have grit. You have what it takes. Okay. And so what it says here is bigger purposes shrink and solve problems. Solutions are a matter of the heart. They totally are. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? If you go back to my story, I wanted it pretty bad. My purpose was bigger than my problem. And as long as your purpose is bigger than your problem, you're going to find solutions. You always will. Inspiration happens. It just requires some, execution on grit, some effort. If one thing doesn't work, adapt. Try another way, right? So just make sure that you're willing to push. Another thing that says here is never go back on decisions, but rather learn and adapt. And I call this the never quit, burn the ships. And my wife says I'm crazy. A lot of people say, I don't know how you live that way, but I do. I don't want to give what science calls the reticular activating system an opportunity down the road to give me an excuse not to follow through. And so for me, I will not quit. If I choose to do something, and it goes back to how hard these deals were, they were the worst deals ever. The universe knows why you're in that situation. The universe knows how to solve that situation. Thomas Edison to whoever, 1,000 different attempts, but it ended up working out. And I'm a testament to that side of it. Is I just hammered and hammered and hammered and hammered and hammered and hammered and hammered until it happened. Okay. So I think that that's really important. It's a phrase from Tony Robbins. And It's basically if you choose an island and you're there and you have your ships there, as soon as things go hard, you want to try to find a different island rather than follow through on what it is that you want, what it is and why you're there. And so just burn the ships, make sure you follow through. The know-how, right? So this one says, failure is accumulated experience and put in a lot of hours for naught. Tons of development blew up on me before anything ever worked. So if you're looking to try to get in, that's really know-how. How do you accumulate know-how? Just by being willing to fail. The more you fail, the quicker you fail, you fall on your face and get back up, the more productive you're going to be down the road. Sometimes we look at failure too long. We like to sulk in it. There's a time to process failure for sure, but that's called taking the value out of it and not just sitting and stewing in it. So take failure, let it apply. And then as you fail, you'll have experience to talk to when you're talking to the next landowner. You'll say, well, could be a little crocodile out in your way. This could be a little trap down the road. This could be, and you're talking from experience, and they love that. Genuine, like, people love that. They do. Landowners especially, because they're sick and tired of being legalese. Experts and mentors are a huge key. So in my process, what I learned is the more problems I had, the more opportunity I had if I found the right person that had the answer to my problem. Everybody's got an experience. Everybody has an experience. And so what I learned is to grab people that know how to do something that I don't know how to do. And I'd rather enroll them into the project and the opportunity and have a chance at succeeding than to try to bleed the opportunity on a selfish approach to try to maintain the dollar values in a pro forma, if that makes sense. And so Cameron Spencer, huge angel in my life on the professional side. He came in, I needed some help. I actually had finally landed my first real opportunity that I was able to execute on. It was an exciting time for me, except for from one learning curve, now you're jumping into a new one. And I was in a situation where I needed to understand a little bit more about excavating than I knew. I knew a lot about entitlements. At that point, I didn't know as much on the actual excavation side. He had been involved with a number of big time builders to actually owning his own excavating company. So you know what I did is I went and begged him and offered him a position where he was managing my project. And then I just let him tutelage me on the job. And I paid for that. I was willing to pay for that. Okay. So that was an awesome experience for me. Intelligent communication and collaboration. That's huge in know-how. And what I mean by that is you have these meetings. A lot of people, when they're doing development, they like to, just show up and have these one-off meetings all over the place. Me, no, I'd call in the farm. So if we had a problem out on site, I'd coordinate schedules. I'd have the excavator there. I'd have Rocky Mountain Power there. I'd have the city there. I'd have the landowner there. I'd have me there. I'd have the surveyor there, right? And we would go to town and we'd problem solve on this project. And I'll probably get to it. Let me see where we're at. We're at 12:49. I need to kind of hurry and buzz here. Let me jump by a few things and then all right. We'll make 6 minutes work. So, because I want to answer some of these questions. Okay. What makes a deal? Well, right money always makes a deal. And there's a lot more to right money than just whatever money I can get my hands on. Okay. There's a lot of bad money out there. It's not being done with the spirit and light in which I want to approach it. And a lot of times it's way too complex. And the more complex you get, the more legalese it ends up being. The more legalese it ends up being, the more likely each of you are going to stub each other's toes. And that's just kind of the way it's been for me. And so be creative, be inspired. There's always inspiration, but it's never complex. I can commit to that. Inspiration is never complex. It's simple. It makes sense. It feels right. It's not like overthought. Okay. So just be creative through inspiration, but don't be too overly complex. All right, guys, welcome back. We appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully you had a couple of good nuggets that came from the video. Find more nuggets at McClaryCompany.com. We look to seeing you again soon.